City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Special beyond special.
Best player in the Premier League.
Captain Marvel. Drogba! Rooney! Oh, wonderful! That is one Derby Diamond.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs. In this episode, we're going to touch on Matchweek 10. A lot of really exciting fixtures. Bunch of teams dropping points and some surprises coming out in the table. I think we should start with one of those surprises. Forest has been incredible this season. They're currently sitting in fourth, 5 wins, third. 5 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss, 14 goals, 7 against. I don't even know what to say. I think, Grant, in your preseason prediction, you had him going down, right?
Yeah, and that was strictly off of the past 2 years where they just kind of snuck it out, and it was just like, but it was definitely harsh on them. But to your point, yeah, it wasn't like out of the ordinary crazy to have them there.
I was gonna say that was totally reasonable, and the fact that they're playing this well is
insane.
Like it's a big testament to the way that they're run, and
Shout out Nuno.
They figured it out. Chris Wood might be the most informed striker in the Premier League right now.
Yeah,
he's been incredible. Hudson Odoi is having kind of a rebirth. In their back line has, I think, outside of maybe Liverpool, they might have the best back line currently in the Premier League.
Yeah, they've been unreal, and I think Yates in the middle has also been sound. He's a steady presence there for them. I think he got a goal maybe this week or last weekend, but he's been really good there too. Ola Aina, I know we brought him up a few times on this channel now, but he's been really good. And it's crazy, when they first came up, they bought 25 players, something insane like that. None of those guys are on this team. None of them.
That is
0.
crazy.
It's just a completely new team. I mean, Alanga, another former young big six winger who had to leave for game time. Obviously, I wouldn't say he's been on Hudson Odoi's level there, but he's been good. They've just been really good. It's just been a good unit.
They're like the definition of modern football and modern structure at this point, right? Like, influx of players every year. They spend a bunch, they ship out a bunch, and it finally clicked this year so far. I mean, they got a big test against Newcastle next week. We'll see if they're up for the challenge. I'm sold on them being in the race
spots.
for top half.
European spots. Kind of like how Brighton when they first came on,
or West Ham in the last couple of years. Like they've got some, and they keep pushing them out. Yeah,
I mean, they look good. There's
on that Newcastle point. I do think if there's a striker that you're gonna want against those tall monsters at Newcastle, it's gonna be Chris Wood.
Revenge game.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun too. Deadwood comes to get revenge.
Oh, I already see the storylines. Gibbs White. We didn't even mention Gibbs White. Obviously, he's been a name there for a few years.
We've mentioned him a couple times.
Yeah.
Murillo, I want to mention him. He's also
been amazing.
He's nuts. Sal's also really good now.
Yeah.
Just a good team.
Yeah.
That's what
I wouldn't say any of them are the top players in the league. I think Ola Aina could make an argument for being one of the top right backs, but that also is kind of because the fullbacks in the league again are very dry. It's a dry position in world football right now, I think. So we'll see, but I do think he's been really good.
Yeah,
me too.
It's just an impressive team. We had to give them their flowers at some point. Obviously, we talk about the top 6 all the time, so it's it's good to see another team
They are in the top 6.
They are now. Yeah, I think another team I kind of want to give there's a slight credit to is Fulham. I think they've been really good as well. Another manager comes in, kind of a team that's like an island of misfit toys, and they've made it work. A couple of resurgences from their players that were on the bench or not fit, and now they're kind of clicking again together, and they've got a couple of guys that have been solid, and I'm assuming some of these teams that we're talking about now are going to get just scraped in the summer.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Fulham had a crazy game today.
You mean Nottingham and Fulham? You think they're gonna get?
I think that just like the key players might get scraped from some of these teams.
I really don't know. I think if you can argue,
didn't Newcastle come after Alenga for like 50 mil in the summer? I'm pretty sure Newcastle came for him pretty aggressively. I think Hudson Odoi's definitely been getting calls.
I don't think Morgan Games White stays there forever. Murillo might not stay forever. Like there's just like some guy like Wood will probably stay there, but there's just a chance that
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for Fulham, like I'm assuming that they're gonna have like Robinson might leave. I think there's. I know, but I think
for like 4 or 5 years.
But I genuinely think it happens this summer because this is the last chance, and if it doesn't, then he's a Fulham dude for life. Just like what was his name? The other American, current center back, Ream. Ream. Yeah. So like those types of guys, like I just think are gone. I don't think Smith Rowe stays there forever either. He's been really good.
I don't think they'd sell him after one season is the thing.
No, but I just mean like these teams are cool to see right now because I just don't think they're going to stay here forever.
I agree, but I do think with the way the league's going, they could try to make a run for things. Obviously not winning it, but European competition for those is a big step up. Some of these players weren't getting those minutes, so it does make sense for them to stick around and get those minutes on these teams. They're respected on these teams. They get the minutes on these teams, and now they actually have earned their way into the European competition. So I feel like there definitely is an argument for them to stay at least 1 or 2 years, and then at least for Fulham and Nottingham, I think those two, I could see some of the bigger players. They're not quite ready in my eyes to take the step up to the bigger teams. So I do think maybe like a 2 to 3 year buffer before they get that move.
Nottingham Forest have got European heritage. You know what I mean? If they get back in those competitions, like we've seen it with Aston Villa, they haven't been in the Champions League in a while, but Bayern Munich at home, they beat them. So like these teams that have European pedigree, all they need is that little taste of it. And, they could be right back in the thick of things. So it's interesting. Obviously, it's so early, but it is nice to see. It's refreshing. I think, obviously, we'll get into it a little bit, but the league just seems wide open right now in terms of so many teams competing. The gap from, first to 11th is 10 points. Like, it just seems very competitive. And so far, so good.
Top teams dropping points is it's nice and not nice at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, let's switch gears to the last team that we want to give credit to before we have a talk. Bournemouth were really good this weekend and they beat City 2-1. They have won 2 out of their last 3, and they've looked really good all season with a bunch of guys like we were saying with these other teams were like not the best, maybe average Premier League players they're overperforming all of them. And for me, I thought watching the highlights, like Semenyo was the best player.
Yeah.
And I honestly, Bournemouth was unlucky to only win 2-1. They could have won that convincingly. Right from the get-go, too. It wasn't like City really sustained much possession or anything, but I only watched the highlights, so I only saw the clips and stuff. But maybe Grant, I don't know if you watched it at all or if you wanted to talk on Bournemouth before we let Mila talk City.
So I could talk Bournemouth too. Actually, they deserve their flowers.
Yeah, Bournemouth 100%. So I actually had a buddy over here that's his team, Bournemouth. So like I've somewhat been tapped in, old coworker. Like the past year or so, I remember when they fired O'Neill for Areola, it was a bold move, but I mean, you can clearly see they went from a good pragmatic manager that can get you set up and get you results to we want to go at teams. That's what that meant when they brought in Areola. And he slowly but surely implemented his style of play because last year they had a really tough start. Like I think their first 10 games, I don't think they had a win. But these players you're talking about, and then they lose Solanke. They lose their main source of goals. So to be able to kind of come back from that, and Evan Nielsen's come in, done a job. But like you said, Semenyo, Tavernier's in there, Kluivert's look good. Cook and Christie in the midfield, just sound. They've been there forever, it seems like. Kirkesh, really good piece of recruitment from them. He'll probably get poached on that conversation from a little earlier. But yeah, I'll let you get into it, Mila, but Bournemouth absolutely are worthy of where they are in the table. well deserved.
I think they're playing with fire, not in like a they're playing with fire, but like they have a fire in their belly. They're running hard. That was the main thing I thought I saw. We couldn't keep up with that. I'll refrain from talking about City in my Bournemouth shout out. Semenyo, super strong. Wow, quick too. I think their center backs were pretty good. I think they're a good pairing.
Mm-hmm.
And is it Kirkez?
Left back, yep.
Yeah, 2 assists. He played really well. So I think you touched on most of it, so I really have not much more to go over on them, but I do think they deserve to be talked about. The way they keep playing against the top teams is a cool thing to see. And I think they're probably going to keep climbing up the table the way they're going.
Yeah, we had a hard time earlier in the year there. We snuck away with a 1-0, but absolutely game could have went either way. So to your point, that game was very difficult. They always seem to give us a good game, but like you said, they're more than happy to go at teams and play the way they want to play, which you have to tip your cap to. You have to tip your cap to, especially if you just it's easy bait, but look at how much money they spend compared to the teams they're playing against they're spending. And to be fair, Bournemouth spent a little bit of money recently, but again, they got no problem going at teams, and you gotta love it.
And yeah, they have like no problem going at teams at all. By no means was that a fluke win for them. They totally earned it. They were the better side by far. I think it's going to be cool if they continue this throughout the season. They're obviously not going to win anything, but yeah, possibly. But in terms of the Premier League, I think they could be a heavy title deciding team if they're going to be this type of team that's going to take points off the top. So we're going to have to start paying attention to those games too once it gets deeper in the season.
Yeah. The margins in the Premier League are so fine. I bring it up every week because it's so important. It's the most competitive the Premier League's been in a numerous number, just so many years. Like it's exciting. It's awesome because every week I no longer have to be like, City's playing some shitter, or Arsenal's playing some shitter or Villa's playing some shitter because the last 3 weeks these guys take points off all three of them, and you were like, well, here we go. Well, Villa's been one of those teams. I
know, but they played Tottenham.
And then, then they play Tottenham. They get battered. Doesn't usually work. But let's switch the gears from the smaller clubs into your club.
Yay!
And City losing 2-1. I'll let you have your rant here.
No, it's not going to be that bad.
The floor is yours.
I said, it was good that we waited a couple days to record this because it was livid at the time. But basically, I'm going to start from the back and just go to the forwards from there. Ederson deserves his man of the match for that game, even though we lost. Because, like you said, it should not have been 2-1. Easily within the first minute, it should have been 1-0. We slipped up right off the bat. He made a double save. There were other times, one-on-ones, that he made saves, just kept us in the game. So I think he was probably our best player. Ake and Akanji. Ake looked not fit yet and a little out of it. And Akanji, I think, needs to be paired with either Stones or a Diaz to be super effective. Kind of like what we've talked about Gabriel. I think he's a complementary defender. So, very good player, but not going to lead the line for me. Obviously, Kyle Walker, terrible. I don't want to give him too much crap just for this game. I do think on season long, he's been terrible though. So that needs to be addressed. But I don't understand why Pep is playing him after him not training for 19 days. Kind of throwing him in the deep end. He's clearly aging and losing his speed a bit. So if he's not training for 19, 20 days and going straight into a game where he's not match sharp, I don't really see the logic behind it. I know Rico's been playing a lot, but feel like he's kind of being scapegoated in some way in that sense. Also, though, he does need to earn his right to be on the pitch, though. I do think even though Rico's tired, he's been one of our most consistent players. He brings the energy every game. When he came on the pitch in this game, he clearly brought the energy with Doku, and that changed it for me. I wanted to see him longer on in the pitch. I think if he was on the pitch from the start, we would have had a whole different game, especially to match the energy that they had. They were just so physical. Obviously, he's not the biggest guy, but he's not afraid to go into those duels. He might not win all of them, but he's not going to back down. And I think fucking Walker, he didn't back down, but he didn't fucking come close to win half those duels. He got thrown around the pitch by Semenyo. Yeah. Do you guys have anything on that you want to?
On Walker, I mean, when we watch the Euros, you know what I mean? Like we're privy to where he's at in his career, and I think it's tough because he's done so much for you guys. You know what I mean? Like he's been a great servant to the club. He's been a key part of the teams that have been very successful. So it's tough to see him kind of go down like this, but
well,
it's an unfortunate reality
though.
of the game. It's an unfortunate
reality. He's never been a very
of the game.
complex player, you know?
Right.
It's his recovery speed that's made him so good. Right. He's never been an elite defender in that sense. Of a one-on-one, he's not going to shut you down every time.
He's been in those shouts and people are talking about best right back in the history of the league. You know what I mean? Like, he was fantastic for you guys. But yeah, it's tough. Jamie Carragher said it best, honestly.
But he has to adapt, and he's not adapting.
You got to leave the football. Or the football leaves you. It's tough, but I don't know. It is time. I do think it's time. I think, especially with a guy like Rico Lewis's ability. Obviously, they play the same position, but they do so completely different player. But I think it just makes it even easier. Or Kanji could go out at right back, depending on how you're setting up in the back. Like you have
a Kanji at right back. You're playing an Ake Gavardiol center back pairing then right now.
My point being, you have.
I understand. Yes, there's options, but it's not gonna fix anything right now.
But I think I don't know. We've talked about it with City will figure it out. You know what I mean? We always say that, and they still can. I mean, this happens quite a bit where they start off slow and then bang, they hit their stride. But yeah, it's always tough to see in real time because it's like, how is Pep going to solve this? I mean, you guys have already been on it where it's Holland or bust. Obviously, Vardiol now has to be in that conversation, which is insane. But it's tough. I don't know where the goals are going to come from, but I'm not even going to think about it because I didn't think Pep figures it out. But it's the alarm bells are definitely louder than they usually are.
I'm glad you brought up Gavardiol. I did forget to mention him.
It's just like
I feel like it's because how I feel about Caicedo. So consistent. Yeah, like I don't need to mention him.
I expect it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a couple notes and then some questions, I think. So the first note that I have is we're going to find out if the Premier League is actually a title race over the next 4 matches for City, and whether they just kind of glide through things or if they are able to, if they struggle. We'll really know if kind of the top 4 or 5 teams here have a chance. You got just over the next 6 games, you got Sporting, then you got Brighton, Tottenham, Feyenoord, and then Liverpool, and then Nottingham Forest. So there's no easy games in the stretch leading into December. I just think that it's been such a fun Premier League season for that reason, in terms of we just don't know who's gonna rise up and who's gonna be a challenging game, and so City's gonna have to figure it out as quickly as possible, and that starts midweek. The second one is their first shot on target was in the 80th minute. That's unacceptable for a City side. I don't even think, I can't remember the last time I've heard that stat it passed the 20th minute for a City side.
I didn't even talk about midfield and forwards yet, so I'll probably get into that.
It could have been the last time Arteta was caretaker for them.
It just that's a ridiculous stat for any team.
That's really bad. Yeah.
For any team. I think, and then my third note from watching the stuff and then just over the last few games is City need more from Foden. I think he's been poor over the last, we'll stretch it into the Euros. He's been poor since then, and he's the man, right? the reason that they've been so lenient and not rushing back KDB is because Foden's supposed to take that. And he's had the runway into the season. It's been 10 games. It's time for him to show up, right? Like, he missed a bunch of chances as well. Like, the chances that I expect him to finish, because he's been at that level, and he hasn't been at that level so far this season. And so, with all the numbers down with injuries and stuff, like, Pep's turning to Foden, and Foden isn't showing up. Which I don't know if it's like a mix of a couple things, but also like just that City midfield is not athletic enough. It's not. The Rodri piece, this is like the biggest problem, is they're just not athletic enough. Like Gundogan, Foden, Silva, Kovacic, like that's not enough for you to compete on a week-to-week basis in the Premier League with who's coming in at this point. Like, it's just not, unfortunately. Like, every team's got athletic midfielders, and that's like a big structure issue. And that's where my kind of question bleeds into is City have conceded in the 3 games they've conceded most recently, they've been within, I think it's like 10 minutes. All the goals they've conceded in the last 3 games have been within 10 minutes of a game starting. And that comes with structure and balance within the team. And because Rodri's out, what do you think the fix is to make the side defensively more sound, either at the beginning of the games or throughout the game?
Well, I think it's live by the sword, died by the sword type of thing. We play such attacking football, we have to have the legs on transition to recover from that, and we don't. I was talking to Dari yesterday. Our midfield has like a combined age of 96, 97, something like that. That's absurd. Not to mention, like, those guys have never been the fastest of guys. Their recovery speed hasn't been the greatest. Kova's quick on the dribble sometimes. Gundo used to have that ability. He's too old now to do that. And Bernardo, it's not going to work. And especially the 3 of those together, once Gundo's gassed, there's no creativity in that midfield. So I just don't see the point in running those. And the main thing I did want to talk about from this game is I'm really frustrated with Pep, because we have some talented guys that he has shown he trusts somewhat. But now when it's time for them to step up and show that they're worth it and that they can actually be useful to this team, he doesn't want to play them. And we're going to drop points because of it, because we have no fucking options right now. You're going to have to keep playing that stupid midfield. Or you're going to throw Matheus Nunes in there, and it's not really going to work for him. He's going to be playing out of position in a deeper role, and then we're going to be shitting on Matheus Nunes again. I don't think it's fair to anyone on the team the way he's running it right now. I don't know why he's doing it like this. We have Nico O'Reilly, who's more than capable to bring that physicality in the midfield. If he slips up a little bit, so be it. His last appearance, he only had 3 missed passes. I don't see why you can't let him have a run at Bournemouth. It's not like we're playing fucking Liverpool or Arsenal or United or Chelsea. I really didn't understand that. So yeah, I think the youth is going to be important. Guys like McAtee can bring a little bit of flair. These guys want to fight for their spot too, so they're going to bring more energy. Our old guys are not bringing the energy right now. I do think they're all fantastic players still. I don't think anyone outside of Kyle Walker doesn't deserve to be on the team. But yeah, so to answer your question, I think we have to just trust the youth.
That's fair. I'm every time that Pep's kind of had this issue or a issue of some form of tactical sorts, he just switches it and it's worked, right? Like,
but that's when we have an injury to one major player, 2 major players, and we have squad players to adapt for it. Even the squad players are hurt right now.
No, but but before we even went into this, like, Roger and KDB went down and there was no switch. And I'm just saying, over the course of 38 games,
I think he thought Gundo could cover that, but it's clear that he's not the same Gundo that he was.
Right.
That was the key before. Gundo was, if one of those guys went down, he could slide into either position. Both of them going down obviously is rough. Usually Foden will step in.
Do you think Nunes could play an 8?
Not right now.
Like,
not
just
with the
feel
personnel we have right now. No.
I was just curious to see if they went to something a little more basic. with the
Who's
squad.
playing
Like
the six in that? I just don't.
Kova. No, sorry. I just mean like more of a structured 2 in the midfield.
No, I understand. I just don't.
It's
think
just a lot of moving parts for a team that's not.
He does track
enough.
back well. I do think that's one of the good qualities of his, but I think we're setting him up for failure if we throw him in that midfield.
That's totally fair. I don't watch.
Put him next to a Rodri. I think he thrives. He'd be fantastic. So we can't do that right now, though.
Do you think potentially they could tactically switch it to move Foden inside instead of
that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
With Foden being a little underwhelming, he's still putting up some assists. He's got more assists than Florian Wirtz this year, so we could take that into account. Like, it's not pretty, but it's there.
Does he have like a bunch in the Champions League?
I think he's got like 2, which is what Wirtz is not.
He's got one. He's got one in the Prem, so that's why I was like, I was a little confused. Okay.
I do think though that he can do more. Obviously, to that game against Bournemouth, he looked like he was half-assing. He didn't look like he was into it. Like, there's just no effort or conviction behind his shots or passes. And I think towards the end of the game, he finally kicked in it a little bit, but it's too late at that point. I have seen people saying that it looks like he's playing differently, a little more conserved and kind of more like an 8, which could be why he's not playing as well, a little bit of an adaptation there. If that's the point, I could see it, because there's no way in hell we're getting rid of Foden. So all this talk about bringing in a 10, you're not going to displace Foden. He's not going to bench Foden. So maybe this is him getting ready for that and stepping down into the 8. I could see it. He does have the energy to do it. I do think it's going to take time to adapt, though. So I think with him especially, it needs time. He was the best player in the Premier League last year, so you can't count him out.
No, you can't. The 8 conversation is an interesting one. I don't know if he's physically there for it. That's a major adjustment for a player of his stature. Course. Just his stature.
Yeah.
So against a smaller team, I could totally see it against a team that's sitting back. It would be, if anyone could do it, it probably could be him. But that's an interesting premise to it. I don't hate it. It's different.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't seen it like that. I just saw it today, watching some other podcasts. So I thought that was an interesting point. I do want to talk about Echeverri coming in January. I think that's going to be a little insurge into the midfield that we're going to have. Something a little different than what we have. Some legs, some speed. Not much, but compared to what we have right now, it'll be nice. Some youth.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at the youth shout. I just think, obviously Pep's been there for quite a while now. And, we've seen all these City players that have been getting sold, coming onto the scene, doing their thing. Like, Palmer's an easy one. But, there's tons of guys that have gone for 15 or 20 million. Like Delap's been fantastic this year. So to your point, what's saying that these guys on the bench right now don't have that in them? So given just the staleness that we've seen, to your point, it's just been really stale.
I understand. Yeah.
So yeah, give him a go.
But in cases like Palmer, though, obviously we weren't in this big of an injury crisis.
Right.
If we were in this shit, so Palmer would have been playing.
Of course,
he might have been with us still at this point.
Absolutely.
He could have. I just don't.
I'm not saying these guys are all going to leave. I'm not saying all your guys are going to leave, but yeah, give him a go. Absolutely. Given what we've seen, it's like, well, this is the only other option we have. Given 13 first-team players are fit right now. There's not many other variations without dipping into the youth ranks, so I'm absolutely for that. But it is a risk. It's a huge risk, obviously. But
I wanted this whole conversation just for the fairness of it. Look, like City's only lost 1 game in the Premier League this year.
Of course, I'm not trying to overreact. I just think I have high standards, and I know
they should hold themselves to the standard.
And I know that we have Arsenal fans that watch this podcast, and whether they watch a lot of it or not. I want to be fair to them as well, because we rack on them, and we will later for their atrocities to the sport. I think that it's fair to give City, because I hold everyone to the City war at the same level. Just because I was shocked. The way that you were talking about it this weekend with me, and then I finally getting around to the extended highlights today. It was. I haven't seen
abysmal.
Yeah,
the only word.
That was a different type of loss. Like, usually I'm used to the City lose 1-0, but they have 45 shots and 20 of them are on target and 14 hit the post. You know what I mean? But this was they were outplayed from 1-90. Really interesting. Like I said, the next 5-6 games for them are super tough. It'll be a test for Pep and for the guys. Also, they just didn't play hard.
That's the thing. When Doku and Rico came on, they fucking worked their asses off. Doku took on fucking 6 guys in the span of 3 minutes.
Right when City got back
ran them into the ground.
2 younger players, right?
Then he should be playing. Even if he wasn't fit, he's running his ass off. That's the type of player that should be on the pitch. I don't care at this point. Mateus Nunes wasn't even bad though, so it's not even fair to him.
No,
to say
he's also playing way out of position.
He's been one of our best players.
And he's been one of your best players. No, he's been incredible. He's a whole underrated player of the last few weeks. He's been awesome on the left wing, which is not.
I think him and Holland, or maybe more so Holland, had an off game, and then he did take that follow through tackle. I don't think there was any malicious intent or foul in that. Honestly, just unfortunate. But it probably knocked him up a bit, and he didn't look like he was going to score that game. And that's also the last thing I wanted to talk about is Holland backup needs to be addressed, because when he went down, writhing in pain, I thought the season was over.
He texted us.
That's the only time that I'm going to say the season is over for our team. I had no doubt. If we have Holland in the team, I still think we can win the league. If we lose him right now, I think it's done. No. We have no goals. We need to play Gvardiol at striker or something. It's not going to work. So
I think we're all in agreement there. If he goes down, it's over.
We don't have Alvarez that can just step in and do a job.
But there's a January transfer window.
That's right.
And I have one name in mind that I want to talk about. Does
he play in Ligue 1?
Yes, he does.
It's okay.
He played for
He's coming to all of our clubs. He's coming to all of our clubs.
But yeah, I think though, for a team that actually has no depth at striker, and for a guy that is okay with sometimes just not starting, he'll still come on the pitch. He's a very talented player, Jonathan David. We never said his name. He'll come on the pitch. He'll start games for us. I think he has a low price tag. One of the top scorers in Europe. He's a big game player. And if anyone wants to fucking call him out for being a penalty merchant, I don't fucking care. We don't take penalties well. I'll take a penalty merchant. If he can convert in big games, I do not care if he's just taking penalties, because our Dokus and our Savios will win our penalties. I think he's the most realistic pick for me outside of the Celtic guy, Kyogo Furuhashi. Obviously, he's a lot older, which would probably play into our hands a little better, less playing time. But one of those two guys would be great for us to pick up. I think David's just a fever dream for me, though.
He's also, it's going to happen. Contract expires at the end of the year, so realistically,
he's also leading a Champions League side right now.
Not for sure. So yeah, they got no point in selling him. Yeah,
if they win against Juve, though, I think he'll probably be on some radars, because he'll probably score if they win.
Yeah, we'll see. But absolutely does need to be addressed, given the amount of games you have to play. You're probably going to go deep in multiple competitions. Yeah, you can't just have literally no striker other than.
Let me bring up another backup option. Very similar profile to Holland. He's in the 87th percent of goals. He wins 77% of his aerial duels. He's roughly 6'2". He's white. He has 8 goals in the Premier League. He's Premier League proven, and he's actually in a top 4 side.
Let's get Chris Wood away.
Yeah, he might as well
he's actually a
Chris
City
Wood
fan too.
As
is the crazy part. I'm pretty sure he's a City fan. You don't have to
change up any tactical thing. You just stick the big fuck up top, and he bags goals.
No,
most informed striker in the Premier League.
I told you. I said. You guys should have went after Tony.
No.
Yeah,
I didn't hate
that's
that
the
either.
opposite of what I want.
No,
that's a guy that's not going to be happy coming off the bench, even though he's got fucking Erling Haaland in front of him.
I said it given the options for him before Saudi, but
all you got to do is give him bags.
He's so happy he went to Saudi.
Oh, for sure. I think he made the right choice.
Does he? I haven't seen any. Is he even doing anything over there?
Who cares?
It doesn't matter. He's
I don't care. I'm just curious.
I think isn't he on Mahrez's team and Firmino?
Let's see. I'm looking up his. He's wearing number 99. awesome.
That's awesome. Yep.
He has 3 goals, 2 assists in 7 starts.
Work. Decent output.
Yeah. That's great. Good for him.
Yeah, he's playing with Mahrez and Firmino. Edouard Mendy's on that team, bro. He's having a great time.
He'll be back in the Premier League next year.
He'll
be back in the Premier. Yeah. It'll happen.
On loan to a newly promoted team, Ivan Toney.
Yeah, literally. Or Leicester replacement for Vardy whenever Vardy wants to stop playing.
Leicester might stay up, Yeah.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, I mean, Grant, do you got anything to say on City front or?
No, I think we covered most everything with City.
And yeah, Mila, you good on your rant? That wasn't even a rant. It was very calm and collected.
Yeah, not at all a rant.
I'll plug.
I would be an idiot if I were screaming at my team for one loss. How could you ruin our Invincibles run, guys?
Yeah, that's what my fan base does.
Well, if you want to see reactions to a game, you can check out our video that was posted this weekend of me and Grant reacting to United and Chelsea. I forgot to plug that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, fuck it. We move. Title race talk, though. Liverpool beats Brighton 2-1. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch the game, and I hate Liverpool, so someone else talk.
Yeah, I watched the whole game, actually. I think Brighton got the first goal, and it felt deserved at the time. Kadioglu, really good finish from him. But Brighton looked just really good, and they looked fully deserving of the goal. And obviously, I was locked in. I was like, oh, Liverpool dropped points. Great. Like, fun watch. But then Liverpool got a hold of the game, and they got the result. Salah bagged the winner. Didn't really do much all game, and then cut inside, curler, top bins. And that's not to diminish him, by the way. That is just, if anything, proving the point. That's how good of a player he is. He doesn't even need a sniff in the game. It was just a half chance, and all this, he's going to hit that 9 times out of 10. So Liverpool, I think that was a really good win for them. I mean, we've talked about, obviously they played us recently, but, they're not beating competition. I think that was a really tough game. Brighton, even before their goal, had multiple sequences of play where they created something. Like, they went in there to play their game, and they did. But then, the experience came through. Trent had a rocky start to the game defensively, I'd say, and in possession, honestly. He really looked sloppy, given his standard. Came out with a really good performance. So I think good for a team like them that's obviously competing for a title to face adversity, even if it's just within 30 to 45 minutes of a game, and then turn it around and get the result they needed and just move forward. So, I was impressed with the performance, and I think Brighton also, they don't come out of it looking any worse. I think they performed really well away at Anfield. So I think both teams go up a bit in my view. It was a good watch. It was a really good watch. Good game overall.
I mean, look, it's hard to beat 2 teams or the same team twice in the span of a week. That's a difficult task to do. They did twice. Look, I got angry and I ranted about them earlier about not playing any competition and not, who the hell are they playing? And look, they're up to the task right now. I'm still not sold. I'm not sold yet because obviously we're 10 games in and they don't look. They haven't really put together a full 90 for me. But look, they have a manager that's willing to tactically switch things or to give guys a second chance. And look, Konate gets injured. He puts in Joe Gomez, who is totally out of favor, and he has a good half, right?
He's played fullback for 2 years.
Yeah. And look, they don't concede goals. They have the most clinical finisher in football.
That isn't Norwegian.
Sorry. Yeah. Most clinical winger in football.
Absolutely.
And they've got good balance, and they're never out of a game. It doesn't feel like they're ever out of a game.
Yeah.
I
think
speaking of never out of a game, we're going to play Leverkusen tomorrow.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think
that'll be a good prove-it game.
Absolutely. And then just a quick point, too, on Tsimikas. He came in and did really well. Certain men in this podcast left Andy Robertson out of their top 10 left backs. Maybe they saw something. Yes, that's right.
We're talking about a left back who's a part of a defense that has 6 goals conceded. He's still a top
they took
left
him out.
back.
They dropped him.
Yeah, because he's fucking old. But he still played in a ton of games.
No, he's all right. Take. But I'm not saying it's an awful take. I'm just saying the other 2 boys over here saw it coming. Simicast took his spot, bro. Like it's not a rotation thing. Like this, he's taking his spot. One of my buddies told me
he's put in full. Like he's started in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 8 games.
Sit back and observe. Not everything needs to be. He got dropped. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. No, great, yeah. That's fine with me. He did play the full 90 midweek against them too, so
they rotated. They would have put Simicast in the cup game, but Robertson's backup.
Okay,
we won, Milo.
That's fine.
And then
I guess
that's so funny. Konate's not. It's not a major injury, so that's good for them.
Yeah,
Allison's coming back after international break. Yeah, man. I don't want to say shout out to Liverpool, but yeah, they've absolutely been good. And then what else? Do we want to touch on Spurs Villa real quick?
Yes, because Villa plays Liverpool in the next weekend, and
that's a big game. They
were the best. They were the better team in the first half, and then they got schmacked by a Spurs side who's been the definition of inconsistent.
There you go.
And they get 4 put past them in the second half. I saw the second half, so I missed the entirety of all of Villa's good stuff.
That easily was the better team. Easily the better team in the first half. Yep.
So strange. I mean, Spurs are just. We were supposed to have Nick on the pod today, and so I wanted him to lead this segment because I don't have a whole lot of thoughts other than like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what this Spurs team is. 1 week they put in a great performance. Next week it's a shit performance. They put 4 in one half. Like, I don't know what to think about them.
Yeah, that's what they are. That's exactly what they are. It's up and down. And you can see it perfectly in this game. The second half, 10 minutes in, Son, right after the assist on the equalizer, got hooked. Not for injury. They took him out. Right.
He was pissed.
But, yeah. I know, and Son usually not the type of guy to really show that on the field. You could tell he was pissed off. But,
he didn't show it on the field, though. He's a professional. He waited till he got to the bench.
Relative to his, you know what I mean? Like, you can even see he was just kind of confused. Like, I'm coming out of the game. What are you talking about? But Richarlison came on, got an assist for the go-ahead goal, and then does his hamstring. That's actually really unfortunate.
Shit's going down.
I've told you guys, I think he sacrificed his body to keep Everton up. I hope that he can stay fit for extended periods of time, but get well soon. Kulusevski, I'll get into him a little later when we do our little segment. But Kulusevski's been unbelievable as an 8 for them with that switch. Him and Johnson just kind of overloading on that right-hand side has been really beneficial to both of them. Solanke, 2 goals, really well taken. Kind of getting comfortable in that team. It was a huge performance. No Van de Ven. Romero came off injured as well. So Davies and Dragiston held it down in that second half for a better part of the half. Romero came off 61st minute. So I think Spurs are just such a tough team to evaluate for me because we hear all the time, the high line and how dangerous it is and how open they are defensively. Dragiston and Ben Davies held it down for 30 minutes. Obviously, it's 30 minutes, but they have these games where they just get absolutely battered, like in that second half against Brighton, where it's just like, it's so easy to get past them. Let me just make sure I have this right. Them and Arsenal have conceded the same amount of goals. So obviously there's context to that. Context matters. But, they're just so hard to evaluate. But I think when we criticize Ange in terms of, look at the high line, look how exposed your team is, I think you have to heap praise on him in a game like this because it's the same players. If anything, it's even more difficult with not having Van de Ven as that sweeper for them. But I think when we're uber critical of Tottenham for, not closing up shop against Brighton and seeing how to win, we need to heap praise on him when he takes this set of players, this lineup, taking out your captain in the 55th minute and dropping 4 on Aston Villa. I think as critical as we are of him, I think he deserves a lot of credit for this game in particular. Being able to drop Maddison, throw Pap Sarr in there. Pap Sarr was amazing. Like, he made big calls and got him right. So, fair play to him. But yeah, to answer the question, I still don't have an answer for what to think of Tottenham. It's just so inconsistent, but you have to give credit where credit's due. And I do think, I know we talked about it a little earlier, maybe he should be on the hot seat. No chance. He's absolutely a manager you can get behind and really build foundations and get the project up and running, if you will.
Yeah, this told me less about Spurs than it did about Villa. We talked about the injury crisis that they were going through, and I know they got a little more healthy, but it looks like the schedule congestion is kind of starting to catch up. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of games at a very high level.
The only player they have injured is Barkley.
Right. So, but they look tired. Every game someone comes off with some.
I just think they played the wrong wingers. The wide players should have been Philogene and Bailey for this game.
So what about the captain? That's where McGinn plays.
That's the issue. I know.
Because I think about it too, and I don't want to come off as ignorant because I try to watch Villa games, especially now. You know, they're in and around the top 4. They're in the Champions League, but anytime I watch him, like I understand he's their captain and he's done so much for Aston Villa, but like,
he's consistent.
Is this them at their best? Is him as one of your like wide threats? I know it's more of like a.
If he's leading up from the pitch, though, I understand it. I see where you're coming from, but I also see why he needs to be in the team. But like you're saying, if Romero goes out at the 61st, you don't make a freaking sub till the 80th for your wingers. Like, I think they should have been on way earlier to take on those fullbacks and just try to draw something in the game. Like, it makes something happen. Watkins had a 5.7 rating. Obviously, that's partially him.
He wasn't great that game.
But they have to make service for him, too. I don't know. Rodgers got hooked a little early because he took a little knock, but he wasn't supposed to. I don't think he needed to go off. So that was a little unfortunate.
Yeah, he was good.
For me, it's just that this team is like they seem deep. And look, the wingers thing might have been a call in the moment, but look, they dominated, 45 minutes of a game, and they got battered in the second half. I just don't. I think that they're running out of juice. That's just the way I see it. Like in every game, it kind of looks like they dominate portions, and then they're running out of steam towards the end of games. It's just from the last couple ones that I've watched from them.
I feel like it's the natural progression of things. It's been working obviously to start the season, and then like you're saying, it almost seems like you're right. Like they do look tired out there, and obviously this team runs a lot. But you're starting to see some of the fatigue, and I think this is all good teams will hit this point where it's like, what do we do here? We hit a wall. So you get a refresh. I'm sure you will see a few more, not drastic, but changes in the lineup. Kamara's getting back to full fitness, and he was a really key player for them before he went down injured. That kind of gave Tielemans that opportunity to break into the team at Villa. I think Kamara Onana is a pretty interesting midfield. McGinn, obviously, do you throw him in? Do you keep him out wide and then throw maybe, Philogene, get more minutes on the left? Like, there's options. There's lots of options.
I'd like to see Duran start more Prem games.
Duran, obviously, yeah.
I'd like to see I want to see him start with Watkins against Liverpool.
So, yeah, we're going to see.
Right.
Give them something to fuck it. Run the 4-2-4 for all I care. Run Philogene and Bailey and Duran and Watkins and wreak havoc with the freaking Boubacar, Kamara, and Onana in the midfield.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Freaking wreak havoc on him.
Hell yeah.
Well, we'll see what Emery does.
We're going to see how they respond. Yeah. Exciting stuff.
It is. Look, like every game is not given anymore.
It's a big loss.
Yeah. Okay. We've made it. We've made it to that time in the episode.
It's time to play the game.
It's 48 minutes currently, so that gives us roughly 12 minutes to shit on Arsenal, which sounds awesome. Yeah, so Arsenal lose 1-0 to Newcastle. Awesome to begin with.
How many goals did they create? How many chances did they create?
Their XG was 1. They had one big chance. And I think that the majority of the XG came from like a Marino chance where he was in the 6 and missed, which is awesome. So awesome.
Rice right at the end, back post, great cross from Saka, equalizer. Womp womp.
Shit your pants. We've been saying it, dude. There's just this team is just not good. Like it's not good going forward.
And they, like you said, they were getting really good results given the performances up until the past few games. They were still like up in and around the title, and it's like, wow, like what they're doing out there is not passing the eye test. They're not creating much, but they're staying solid. They're scamming a goal and they're holding it down. Fair enough. Like, if you got to do that to get results, that's fine. But like, it's not that sustainable in terms of where you're going to find these goals. And I think Saka coming back's huge for them. I mean, like, there's no doubt. Let's not forget the Liverpool game. Like, he looked really good there. Like, he's still that level of player. But I just find it so shocking. And I know we beat it over the head with the transfer window, but one key guy being out and it looking this much different is insane, because Havertz in that game, he was not up top. He tried to almost fill that void where Odegaard would be, and he looked lost because that's not what he does. I mean, I think we figured out his best position. Like, he's a striker, right? Like, he's not an 8. I thought we saw that last year. But now you're having to move pieces around to accommodate. And I think that's just, again, the transfer window. We talked about it with City. Like, if they lost Haaland, they'd be in a really interesting situation too, in terms of they'd have to change completely how they play. So I just, leaving yourself that open, and especially when it's all coming down to chance in terms of a player's fitness, I just find it kind of crazy. And again, similar to what I said, where Villa might have to start changing stuff up. Obviously, they're hoping for Odegaard to be back soon, but this whole 4-2-4 setup, I think it's kind of reached its point in terms of it was effective when they first kind of threw it in there and just had good structure, but you might need to switch it up. And I think, obviously, I think the game next week is huge at Chelsea. I think it's early myself personally, but like, if they drop points there, like, is it over already? That'd be nuts. Like, 2 straight years of really competitive title chases just to be done in November by us, of all teams, given where we've been the past few years. And obviously, I'm going to have to get it in while we're here. We're above them in the table. We're above them in the table. What happened? Like, that's nuts. Like, I genuinely did not expect this. I told Facundo, like, last year, we're going to win the Prem before them. Obviously out of ignorance. I might be onto something, bro. Like, windows open and shut very quickly. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have time before it's too late. And I'm not saying that's where Arsenal are at, but there's a realm where it does happen. There's a timeline where that is the case. So I just think it was shocking to have Calafiori, Marino, Sterling as the, man, we were 2 points off City. We got to beat them this time. And that's what they did. So I think a big criticism of theirs as well was not having that X Factor type of player. And then they got more just kind of pieces instead of guys. They got like pieces of the machine, the cogs. But those aren't game-changing X Factors, and they probably should have went after one in hindsight. But I'll give the floor to someone else here to keep going.
Look, Jose Mourinho got fired for playing this style of football.
But
Arteta's Arteta's on his 5th season now.
You got to win playing like that.
And look, everybody likes to go back to last year because, yeah, why not? That's when they were playing wood. This is boring. It's tame and it's ugly football.
It's not the Arsenal.
They're playing 3 center backs. They're playing 3 DMs, and they're expecting Saka to be the best player on planet Earth. And even if he is the best player on planet Earth, they're leaking goals with 3 center backs and 3 DMs. It's bad. It's bad to watch. It's hard to watch. And I don't know how any Arsenal fan could rationally, in their mind, think that that's not delusion. Do the same thing every week and expecting different results is insanity. So, look, they've got Jesus on the bench. They got Sterling on the bench. I don't care if they're fucking awful. They need to be at least trying something different, because Trossard in his last fucking 4 games, terrible. Terrible. They just need to run something normal. This isn't normal. This is terrorism. It's just terrorism football. It irks me so bad because, like you said, they squeaked away with results, and now we're finally seeing what we've been talking about.
Yeah, and it's anti-Arsenal. Is this not going against the Arsenal way of just, hey, like, we might not win it, but like, it's going to look beautiful. Like, this is good football. It's a good watch, and you've gone against it. And to your Mourinho point, Mourinho won. Like, he locked it up, and never a good watch. Got the points, got the trophies. You cannot have just a heinous 90-minute watch with no payoff. Like, you can't do that. You really, if you're playing like that, you have to win. You have to. So, interesting to see kind of how they move forward. But again, Odegaard back soon, like that absolutely changes things. But
Yeah.
they cannot be out of the race when he is back.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the adjustments. That's it.
We need, and I'm almost, you know what, in hindsight, if it works out this way, like, I'm glad we didn't get all 3 points against United, bro. Save it for Arsenal. If that's what it takes, so be it. But we absolutely need to be up for this game. We absolutely need to be up for this game. And, man, shit, we almost beat them at home last year, and we were dog shit last year. So I think unwavering confidence. We play Noah midweek, wherever the fuck that is. And then Arsenal, Sunday, Bridge, be there. That is going to be crazy. We'll get into that at some point, but not today.
My last point on him, and we've said it every week, and I'm going to continue to say it every week. Jonathan David is a free agent this summer. They could throw 15 million at him, and he'll be there because Leo will.
I don't even want that for him anymore.
No, bro, don't do that to David.
He's not Superman.
No, he's not Superman, but like that's a signing or something to make. They need to make a striker signing, and they just don't because they suck.
Yeah, if they want to be cheap, they can go and get David at this point. I think to what you guys were saying earlier, they need an X factor.
Gyökeres looks like an X factor to me personally, but
But like, how are they going to wait until the summer? Does Arteta have that long?
No. They do need to bring in reinforcements. I don't even know if it's going to be a striker, to be honest. Like, I think their left-hand side's kind of heinous. Martinelli's been better of late.
But you can't bring in a left winger. There's just not.
I'm sure
a selection of guys.
Names always
unless you're willing to pay 70-80 million, which they never
pay
are.
A lot.
It's never going to happen. Like, you have to pay. The only thing I could see is like Kvaratskhelia release clause.
Napoli.
It never happened mid-season either.
Isn't it 90?
It's 80.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, they're never paying that. It's Arsenal. They don't pay that.
That's their problem. If you want to be cheap, this is what happens. You're going to come up short.
Yeah, Eddie ran because Arteta had him in a chokehold.
Sus.
Oh, yeah. Well, I heard, and by I heard, I mean I scrolled Twitter, that Arteta started to get more of a say in the transfers. Like, if he really wanted to push for a player, like he would exhaust his resources to make sure that his player was brought in.
That's great. So more DMs and center backs.
Right, exactly. And again, I read Twitter. I'm not saying I know this, but it makes sense in terms of, like, this guy's just going to keep bringing in his guys at this point. Like, he's been there for like 5-ish years. Okay, my time's done here. It could be simple as, where it's ran up. And going to Forest.
Who's going to hire him if he does leave, though?
Arteta?
Somebody will.
Barca in like 3 years, 4 years.
No one wants to play that football. No one's going to hire you to play that football.
I think wait for Odegaard to come back and get a run of games. I don't think they're going to play this pragmatic when Odegaard's back. Fully fit.
We've talked about it all season. This is why I don't like talking about it anymore. It's the same shit over and over again. They have two creative players. Occasionally, some of their depth guys can be creative, but they are not creative players. I don't know. I don't feel the need to talk about them until we see something different. If it's the same old every week, and what we're expecting is them to drop points, and they drop points, then we were right. But we've been saying we were right.
Their biggest issue is they're the last big club that has not gone to modernized structure. Like, they don't fill needs. They have a manager that's in complete control. Look, United's going through that right now, and Arsenal are ahead in that in the process of like standings. But like, would you really say that they're any closer to winning that many more trophies than United?
I wouldn't go that far. I think, obviously, you guys got the new coach in. I still think you guys have been heinous this year.
But we won a trophy last year.
You won 2 trophies. Yeah, shit, fair enough. I guess in terms of what team has a foundation that they're building upon, like something sustainable, I would definitely give them the edge on that. I don't think there's a conversation to be had there, only because you rely on players like Casemiro and Eriksen every week who are north of 30. They're obviously not going to be there much longer. So in terms of that, Arsenal have players right now, for the most part, that are in that team oh, we want to work with this going forward.
If United bring in those X Factor players to replace those guys that you're talking about this summer, though, it's one summer. They haven't had the opportunity to do it yet.
I'm not even talking about this summer.
Arsenal had the opportunity to make those moves, and they didn't do it.
Oh,
United is in the situation now to make
in terms of
in that
I just want to see how they react.
Yes.
I
do think Arsenal is a bit closer just in mentality-wise. The goal is to win the title, so they're striving to do that. United right now are not in that in those shoes.
What I meant by that statement is, look, like if they lose this weekend, they're just as close as United in terms of just like winning the Premier League currently.
Yeah,
they're not winning the Champions League, and I don't. They just don't. They're not winning the Champions League.
Oh, for sure. And I despise the club, so that's why, like, of course I agree with you there, but like I have to give credit where credit's due in terms of like the past 2 years, bro. Like they've gotten really close with City. They pushed City to the final day, and then the year before they threw it all away, obviously. They pushed City that year too. So I think they've shown that they can do it and not win it, but push and really get close. But yeah, man, like I do think like they very well could have plateaued or missed that window, but I do not want to jump that gun yet. I think I want to see Odegaard back. I want to see how they get looking. I want to see if they do anything in January. But shit, they might be on the way down. They really might.
I don't agree. I don't think it's jumping the gun when the guy's on his 5th year at the club, though.
No, pushing.
Trying to give him some credit.
That's such a dumb. I hate that.
But credit for what? Is the thing like at the end of the day?
But they haven't won anything. We gave them.
It's a whole circle. I agree with you in a certain extent, and then I think about it more, and I'm like, why?
Valid.
And I think I want to leave it at that.
I'll be happily proven wrong
here. On that.
I will be happily proven wrong.
The last thing, and then we'll switch to our last topic, is the pushing comment throws me through. It puts my head in a fucking blender because it's so dumb. You didn't win. Who cares if you got second? They didn't win any trophies. Look, Liverpool pushed for years, and they won Champions Leagues. Like United was not like Jose is the only one that celebrates it. Look, they pushed City. Like nobody says that because in 5 years from now, no one remembers pushing for a title.
Yeah,
it's not an accomplishment. It is not an accomplishment. No. What I meant by them pushing is we're talking about projecting the near future of their team. So in that context, it's like, oh, well, they were pretty close, so I could see them getting close again. But like you said, long run, no one cares. No one remembers. But if we're just talking about projecting them and what they're going to look like in the near future, yeah, they've gotten close, so I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibility that they can do it. But like we're all on the same page, I don't think they go.
Ten Hag in his first season got Champions League football and won a trophy. And then it went to
Chelsea
shit.
12 doesn't count.
What?
Chelsea 12 doesn't count.
Oh, I don't know the relevance, unfortunately. What I'm trying to say is like things can take a turn for the worse very quickly in the sport.
I know.
And I just that's what it feels like. It's been on this kind of cusp, and they did nothing in the summer. They're doing nothing now, and I'm just I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the avalanche.
Love it. I love it. I hope this happens, but I don't think it will. But yeah, like you said, I've seen it firsthand. It can change very quickly. All of a sudden, you look down and you're in 12. It happens. I don't think it's a super extreme case, but yeah, anything can.
Yeah. All right, let's stop talking about Arsenal. I think that over the next couple episodes, so long as they keep losing, I don't want to talk about them.
Yeah, learn to sit back and observe.
Do we want to take a break here? Or do we want to just push through? Let's
go, yeah.
Alrighty, so for this final segment, we're going to do, since we're at the 10th game mark, we're roughly a quarter of the way through the season. We're going to give our team of the season so far. So we'll start with the goalies and defenders, work our way to midfield, and finish with wingers. It'll be a 4-3-3 structure. Mila, do you want to start with your goalie?
Did you guys hear that little bloop noise?
No.
My computer's being weird. My goalie is Allison. And I know he does have the best defense in the league in front of him, but he also does have the highest percentage to stop the goals. And when you look at it, he's conceded 3 goals.
He's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I do think there's other guys in the league that have been good shot stoppers, but then you look at how many goals they conceded, and it's 6 times more. Obviously, it's early in the season, and his numbers are so low, but they're at 11 or 12 when he's at 2 or 3 conceded. So I think he just deserves some props in that.
So this was actually the one I had it took me the most time to get one down. I was probably going to go Allison, but he's gotten hurt, and again, we're going off such a small size. I went with Hermansen from Leicester. I remember the Arsenal game in particular that they ended up winning. Arsenal ended up coming back and winning. I think he had 12 or 13 saves. He was absurd. And we were also linked to him in the summer, naturally. But he's a really good modern keeper, but beyond just the ball playing ability, he has proven to be a good shot stopper and a team that's going to need him to be a good shot stopper. And again, I kind of made this list with knowing a lot of these guys might not end up being there by the end of the year, but just to get some guys love. So Allison, obviously, best in the league, totally with that, but want to shout out Hermansen for his start to the year.
That's an interesting shout.
That is an interesting shout. I don't know if I can, if we're doing a combined one, I don't know if I could put a goalie that's conceded 18.
Yeah. I'm not mad at it.
I do like the shout though. It's different.
It's because they're shit.
Right, but we're not putting.
That's the thing, but that's why I brought up Allison's save percentage. Is because he's making the saves. Hermansen has a lot of saves, but his save percentage is 18% lower than Allison's. So they're he's also letting in more goals.
Right.
Just based off that, I don't know.
So yeah, if we're doing
it's a hard thing to do with goalies, just based on this.
Allison, and if we're doing a
what did you have, Dill?
The two that I have is I only have so much room for United propaganda, so I'm going to give Onana his shout here because I don't know where United would be if he wasn't there. Don't need to spend a lot of time on that because I don't think it needs to be in the combined one. But I think that if I'm realistically putting him here, and if I'm being fair, the best goalie for me so far has been David Raya. Because Arsenal would not have as many wins as they have if he's not playing with the pragmatic style.
It was a bit of more early season heroics, I think. But
he had one really bad game. I think it might have been the Bournemouth game.
He also had 3 really good games
on the ball.
I'm
saying on the ball.
No, I know.
Giving the ball away.
Yes, I'm looking. He's got 3 clean sheets. They've, he really did save them in a couple.
About it, bro, this is where it comes. They're defending a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what they want to do. So they're putting him in these positions.
No, 100%. But he's been
also preventing -1 goals.
He's been really good.
Prevent negative goals.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I went with because of the small sample size. I went with 2 goalies that I think if they weren't playing for their teams currently, their teams would not be where they're at. Yeah, they would be much lower.
I agree. Based on that logic, Onana is the man. But yeah, I think combined,
I don't get a problem putting Allison there. Yeah, no, he's definitely the best.
I just think he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Back line.
Yeah, let's move. Let's do right backs. Grant, you want to start us off this time?
Ola Aina, man, it's unironically a shout. Nottingham Forest are in 3rd place for a reason. Like we said, it's a unit, it's a team, but he started off the year at left back. Now he's playing right back. Last week he cut in on his left top end. Obviously that's not all there is to a right back. We're not asking right backs to cut in on their weak foot and score, even though my other fullback also does that. He's just putting in shifts all game. He's a hard guy to beat defensively as well. So Ola Aina, absolutely deserving of the shot.
I had him up there as well. I did not give it to him. Just I do think in terms of the modern fullback, he's good at beating his man. He's quick. Not so much in the playmaking aspects, the crosses, the ball playing, that type of stuff. He's a good defender though. His defensive third efforts are probably why I have him higher in the list, because if you look at the right backs in the Premier League, there are not many defensive ones. They're pretty attacking. So in that sense, I do think he deserves props, but I do have Trent at number 1 because he's improved upon his defensive attributes this year. It seems like he's a little more tactically aware. So I want to give him props for that, because that's what we've been saying for years is the issue with him. He's working for that Madrid tryout.
Yeah, I had 3 here. My second United propaganda was Mazraoui, another guy that like in a bad team has been really, really good. But he's played both sides, so it's hard to put him there.
That was why I didn't have him in there. Same with Dallo.
Trent was the other one, and Olena was the last one that I had. So I don't got an issue with either of them. I think I want to lean.
Let's go more traditional and put
Olena. Okay, Olena is a right back. Okay, moving to center backs. I'll start this one off.
Do we just want to dust up left back real quick?
Yeah, we all know. I think Grant and I have the same one.
It's Gavardio.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. No, we've talked about him enough on this show.
It's Gavardio. I do want to give a shout out to Anthony Robinson. He's been really good. If there was a 2, he's the 2.
All right.
Gavardio is definitely best left back.
So left back, Gavardio. Dylan, you're saying center back pairing?
Center backs, I think for me it's the Liverpool pairing of Van Dijk and Konate, but I do want to give a shout out to Stones. Because of his late heroics in a couple games, but I don't think there's been 2 better center backs than Van Dijk and Konate.
I have Van Dijk in mine.
Yep, as do I.
Who's your other one?
Who's your other one? I saw you making a face. I want to hear what you have to say.
I have Marco Senesi from Bournemouth.
Okay.
Bro does not need to be on that team, and he's probably one of the reasons they're playing so well right now. He's a fantastic center back. I've talked about him for over a year now to you guys, so I got a little soft spot for him, but he's a baller, and I do think that he's very important to Bournemouth. He'll probably leave this summer. He's only 27 too. It's not like he's that old. He's getting his minutes in. He's doing the work, and I think he's going to be one of the. If he stays in the Prem, he will be one of the best center backs in the Prem.
I actually put Gabriel there. I think obviously Saliba gets most of the plaudits in that pairing, rightfully so. I do think he's the better player, but Gabriel is absolutely in the conversations on his day. On any given day, he can be their best center back, and obviously Saliba getting that red card it was dicey for him. I think Gabriel's done what he can to hold it down. Honestly, I didn't really think about the past few games. I don't think he's been as good the past few games, but I think he deserves his flowers. I've been one in particular who was very critical of him, especially a few years ago, but he's absolutely matured into a much better center back, so fair play to him.
So who do we want to... So it's obviously Van Dijk.
Yeah, Van Dijk's in.
The question is,
I am not putting complimentary piece defender Gabriel in my.
Oh, it looks like I don't have much more of an argument, so we can't put Gabriel in.
Okay, not Gabriel. They've also conceded 11 goals.
Yeah.
I find it hard to give it to too many Liverpool players because as a unit they're so good. I do think if you take Van Dijk out of that unit and put him on any team, he is standout, the best center back. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm not putting Konate in mine, but I don't blame you guys for not putting Senesi in yours.
Yeah, Konate's been so good. Shout out Senesi, though. I do like that you brought him up.
I think you could bring Senesi into that Liverpool team and replace Konate. If you put Konate in Bournemouth, he would not be doing the same shit Senesi's doing.
Yeah, but they're different. I don't know. They're different players. Like, they're asking Konate to just be a force.
Konate's a complimentary piece. He's like Gabriel. He's like Ake. He's like Akanji. But I think, I don't know.
The center back ones is always hard for me because there's always one A, and then the one B just kind of always gets the second nod.
But that's how it should work. It's a partnership.
Right. Exactly. That's why. Okay, so do we want to go with Konate or Senesi?
We can put Konate just because they are a good partnership.
I would like to put, as the deciding vote that I just gave myself, I will rule Konate. But I like the Senesi
I was going to say, you are the deciding vote because we were the split.
And especially because we didn't throw Trent at right back, because if we did, I'm going Senesi. You can't have 3 Liverpool players in there.
Okay, so to finish off our combined team of the season through fourth of the season-ish is... Who do we have? Allison in goal. Ola Aina at right back, Gvardiol at left back, and then the Liverpool partnership of Van Dijk and Konate. And then so now we'll move into the midfield. The way that we kind of all set this up was there's a DM, a center mid who's kind of it could be a 10 or an 8, doesn't matter, and then a 10. Sixes. I know that me and Grant have the same answer, so
I have the same one also.
Okay, we all have
Caicedo. Rodri, no party, so it's Caicedo.
It's Caicedo. Most underrated. We talked about it in the midweek.
He's been top.
Most underrated player.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. It gets brushed aside, I'd say, because I feel like he almost kind of got shoehorned into being a 6. I think with Lavia being in there in that pivot, kind of really allowed him to have a little more freedom carrying the ball, getting forward, and finding a pass. He has a lot more qualities than, honestly, I even thought. Obviously, the breakup play and just energy, the defensive know-how, I already kind of had an idea, but his all-around game's unbelievable. He really is. He's no one's Conte. I said it in the post game. No one's Conte, but man, he does everything.
Covers every blade of grass, right?
Just everywhere. Yeah, he's great.
I do want to give my shout out to Kova here because he's filled a hole pretty well for a City.
Yeah, I think The
last game gave a bad take, but
I don't even think he played that bad. It's not his fault, in my opinion.
It's a new position for him. A guy who's very accomplished.
Everything we're doing is setting up our players for failure. So I can't blame the players that much.
That's fair. But he definitely deserves a shout within this team because he's been consistent. He scored he scored a few goals.
If you play him with an athletic midfielder, I think he'd do wonders.
Yeah,
I have no problem with him in the team. I think Gundo has to get dropped, but whatever.
So we got 2 other midfielders in here.
Yes.
I love how team of the years never actually would work on a field. So I absolutely took that into consideration. And I put Palmer and Kulusevski next to Caicedo in my midfield. Kulusevski, I said at the beginning of the year that he was, I didn't say he was ass, but he's playing out wide for the past few years, and I never really seen it from him. I've seen the light. He's unbelievable. Kulusevski, as soon as he stepped into that midfield, I always kind of think Tottenham have something versus it was a little dry before to me. Obviously, they would always get forward. They'd have possession, but not really do too much. I think Kulusevski's a huge X factor there. So yeah, Kulusevski and then Palmer, not much needs to be said there. He's pretty good.
I have Palmer in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Palmer's my 10.
Sweet. No KDB at the moment, so. I have Tielemans in mind though.
Oh, shout out.
My 2 picks for that last spot were Tielemans or Gravenberch. And I do think I think they're just, as a unit, they're really good right now, which is something I wasn't really expecting with the new manager. I still don't think individually they're the greatest. So I think Tielemans, with his revival of his career at Villa too, doing what he's doing in that team, I think he definitely deserves to be brought up in this.
Absolutely.
He's very consistent this year.
I was critical of him before he kind of came into the team, just he doesn't have the legs. He's not going to be able to play in that Emery team in the middle. Shut me up. He's been really good. I thought about Onana too. He's been really threatening on set pieces as well. Just kind of break that play for them. Because again, Tielemans still doesn't have crazy legs in him. So Onana being able to cover for him really helps. Gravenberch kind of dipped off the past few games, but still really good start to the season.
Consistent. These guys are just consistent. That's the main thing.
That's why I ended up leaving him out. Gravenberch is just kind of teetered off a bit lately.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, Gravenberch was the one that I gave the wild card to because he's played in every single game for Liverpool, and he's been one of their better players. I know the last few games haven't been the best, but this was the player that people were expecting coming out of Bayern. I don't know how long this will last, and it may just be this first 10 games, but he's just allowed them so much tactical flexibility. Good on slot. This might be more of just a managerial thing.
Could be. I didn't see this coming out of him.
No, neither did I.
In terms of even the player, like, I know he went Ajax to Bayern, just kind of sat on the bench for a year at Bayern and then left, and then sat on the bench at Liverpool for a year. If anything, I didn't expect him to break into the team as a sit. Given his qualities, like, I was like, oh, he's definitely probably best used a little further up. Like, honestly, in Klopp's system last year as one of those 8s. That's what I thought he would, if anything. But yeah, he's been unbelievable.
He's not.
So that's your third midfield pick.
Yeah, especially just because, like, to pop off the page and a screen for just the person that doesn't watch a team's game all the time,
right?
That isn't scoring or assisting is really impressive. So I don't really care if we put him in or not.
I don't mind putting him in. I think the fact that he's not really a sexy name, like you were saying, like, it's not the GNA that's catching our eyes. I think he does deserve to be in there. I don't like putting this many Liverpool players.
I was not even going to say that, but whichever one you made the point of, it's more of a team thing with Liverpool versus, I think, Kulusevski, and obviously he's my shout, but the way he single-handedly, to me, changed the way this team plays, and now there's a lot more of an attacking impetus with him in the midfield versus where he was just kind of stuck out wide, hugging the touchline. I think that has changed a lot for Tottenham, and that's why I guess, at least over Gravenberch, that's why I would give him the nod.
I had Kulu in the 10 spot, like with Palmer. Like, Palmer's been far and away the best player, so I have no problem putting him in the wild card either.
What was your shout, Mila?
Mine was
Tielemans.
He's been really good too. I
will give you the floor, Dylan. This is all up to you.
I'm okay with doing it the unrealistic way. If we were making an actual team, I would go Caicedo, Gravenberch, and Palmer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For the sake of doing it, our team of the season
the best
so
players.
Far combined midfield is Caicedo, Kulusevski, and Palmer. Yeah. All right. Next, let's move into wingers. I think that.
I don't think we need to talk about this much.
What do we got on
left wing and right wing?
Like,
right wing is speak for himself.
Right wing's not as much of a question. It's Salah. Saka's been really good, but he's been hurt, and it's boring.
Who
do you have at left wing other than Son?
Son's the only guy I got. I have Diaz.
Yeah,
if you wanted to give Diaz a shout,
I would give Diaz the nod over Son. I put Semenyo. I'd put Semenyo because not just that one game against City. I got Palmer and Kulusevski.
That's why I did it. I would have put Saka in over Son if we're gonna do it like that.
Yeah. No. We're doing right wing, left wing.
Sure.
So if we're gonna do a left winger, Son is the one. I think there's no argument.
It's not close to me either.
Okay, we'll put a left winger. So Salah's on the right. So you said Diaz and Son. I mean, Son's played up front a bit this season.
He's played on the left. They have Solanke. I mean,
like, I know. Their structure is more fluid,
but like,
I think Diaz. Oh, I would probably give it to Diaz between the two of them.
I'm with
because
Bailey,
he was
right?
To me, he was a big reason as to why they started so well, because he was actually putting the chances away.
That's just what he does, though. He just does that. He's a little purple patch, and then he doesn't do anything for the rest of the season. He's been benched, hasn't he?
That is true. Gakpo has come in and kind of taken the
spot. Exactly. Like, Son, it's got to be Son for me.
3 goals, 3 assists. Every time he plays, he's like at least a 7 or better.
They're not the same level all the time, and none of that, but in terms of just like, you know what you're getting, Son, Salah, no problem.
6 goals and 6 GA and 7 starts. Like, they don't play as well when he's not on the side.
Timo, I love watching that in a different shirt, because like now it's just funny versus like, oh man, he just missed 3 sitters for me. Now it's like, oh, he did it for Tottenham. Up top, so we got Son, Salah on the wings.
Yep.
Up top, Chris Wood.
Holland.
Yeah, we'll give it to Holland, but we already shouted.
Yeah, Holland.
Yeah, we already shouted out Chris Wood enough in this episode, so I won't go into it anymore.
Chris Wood is so in form, and Holland still has more goals.
Oh, I know. That's why when I looked at it, I was like, okay, please tell me Wood's
He's
got more
one
goals.
of the best players in the league for GNA, and he doesn't have an A.
Yeah. It's got to be Haaland.
He's been ridiculous.
But unironically, Chris Wood's in that conversation, as we've gone over earlier. But yeah, Haaland's Haaland.
Like right now, we're not going to get Haaland. If he has one bad game,
I have no clue where you guys would be this year if he was.
I don't know. And also, I love him. He's coming back. I told you guys he was playing at the top of the box trying to defend for us just because he's.
Oh yeah, bro. Was he actually
every game?
You said he was playing as a sixth, bro. That's crazy.
For like 30 seconds.
I know.
But he fucking hooked his ass back there and fucking.
Jackson had a good tackle in this weekend, so defensive duty.
I was gonna say
this is what we need to talk about.
before I let it go away because he's one of the favorite meme players in the Premier League. He's been arguably a top 2 striker this season so far.
Jackson?
Yeah, Nicholas Jackson.
Oh, Jackson?
No,
yeah,
Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea do not fire on the same rate.
Did he do anything against you guys?
What? No, he did. He had a very quiet game. He had a
quiet game.
So the good players were quiet against.
Well, that's not a big thing. Nah, Jackson was quiet. But yeah, I mean, obviously, given what our squad looks like, one quiet game, and it's like, get Nkunku up top.
No.
We looked really bad against. We looked really bad against Newcastle midweek with Nkunku up top, and not to say Nkunku's not a good player. I don't think he's a striker. I think we meant to sign a backup striker or competition for Jackson. Never got one in. So Nkunku went from being a 10 to a 9. Anyways, he just doesn't do what Jackson does up top. Jackson literally does everything you can ask for in your striker. Because I've said it a million times, all it was last year was just him not putting away chances or being indecisive. He's been a lot more decisive, and he's put away chances. So
6 goals and 3 assists. Like, that's in the Premier League. That's it's a great year.
Talk about Palmer all the time, as they should. Palmer is very good. A lot of his play bounces off of Nicholas Jackson. Jackson gets a lot of the attacking moves going. We play quick, intricate passes through the middle. He drops in, holds the play up, lays it off. The play is on. He does so much, and I don't. Obviously, we got a real deep team. I don't know where we'd be without Nicholas Jackson. I think he is that important. I think he's one of the first names on the sheet. I think it's him, Caicedo, and Palmer. Obviously, once Reece James hopefully can put together a few more 90s, he can be, back in there. But Jackson's been that good. But yeah, it's easily Hall.
Yeah. Okay, so our team of the season so far, front 3 is on the right wing, Salah, on the left wing, Son, and up top, Erling Haaland. So if we're going to round it all out, our team of the season so far through a quarter of the season is in goal, Alisson. Right back, Aina. Our left back is Gvardiol. Our center backs are Virgil van Dijk and Konate. Our DM is Caicedo. Our center mids are Kulusevski and Cole Palmer. Our right wing is Mohamed Salah. Our left wing is Heung-min Son. And our striker is Erling Braut Haaland.
Squad. That's a team.
That is a team. Now, with that all being said, those are gone. Like by the end of the season or halfway point, we'll probably have like 8 changes.
I'll have the same team personally. I'm sticking to my guns.
Palmer will be out.
Haaland's gonna be out.
Kulusevski will definitely be out.
Salah, Kulusevski. Everybody not named Alisson.
Gvardiol will take over Haaland's spot up top.
Yeah. Alisson misses a little bit more time because known injury-prone keeper, he might get out of there.
Also, this Ederson run at the 6, you guys are not ready.
I'm down. Get Ortega, get both of them on the pitch.
Yeah, that would be legendary.
All right, we good to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, this has been Clash of Clubs from me, Grant, and Mila. We will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
2 words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing. That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.